Hi, welcome back to Crates with Zed. Today, we're taking a look at Halloween transmutes. If you don't know, if you go look at your soul gargoyle in your backpack, you can do a Halloween transmute, and this will let you use 3 items for 1 classic Halloween item. Now, the best items to use here are craft hats. Those are hats that are worth only their value in crafting. So for example, I can use some of these Bondeliers as items, and we will get 1 classic Halloween item from it. Now, these classic Halloween items were tradable when they first dropped. If you got one of these classic Halloween items like Hunkoff or Chicken Kiev or Beepman, you would have been tradable. If it's haunted, it would have been also marketable. But it's only these original Halloween items that are worth anything. When you do a Halloween transmute, you get a classic Halloween item, but it's not tradable and it's not marketable. So every single item that I show off in this video is going to be worth 0 keys. We won't be making any money in this video. Nothing that we do in this video is tradable. However, if you're in the market for something like a Hunkoff or a Chicken Kiev, you might not want to pay 27 or 50 keys for an expensive classic Halloween item. So this is how you could acquire these items for much cheaper than their market value. Now, assuming I counted for every item, there are 220 total items that you can get from a Halloween transmute. And that means it's a 0.45% chance of getting any one individual item. So it's about as rare as an unusual to get any one specific item. Now, we're going to do something fun in this video, and we're going to pretend that we're getting tradable versions. We're going to pretend that we're getting the full value out of all the items we get. We're going to pretend we're someone who wants a Hunkoff, who wants a Chicken Kiev, and is willing to pay the full market value for it. And so we're going to see how much money we save by transmuting instead of paying the full market value for them. So you can see the expected value is 3.76 keys. Again, nothing in this video is worth any money. I'll fix the value at the end. We're gonna get no value from this, but this is how much we could potentially save by transmuting instead of buying them. I want to give a shout out to Nintendo Ninja for being a video supporter and having the idea for this video. Thanks for financially supporting all the craft hats in this video, Nintendo Ninja, and we're gonna do some cool Halloween transmutes on your behalf. 3 craft hats is going to cost 0.14 keys. I just bought them off of Manco.store. Manco.store has a page called Random Craft Hat where you can buy just random craft hats that are eligible for these Halloween transmutes. So they're 8 cents each. So 3 of them is 24 cents each, which works out to 0.14 keys. At the time of recording, a key price is worth 61.88 refined in metal or $1.76 US on Manco.store. Again, Manco.store sponsors these videos, and if you'd like to make a purchase on Manco.store, if you click on the link in the description and then make a purchase, that helps support the channel. I'll leave a link in the description for those craft hats as well if you'd like to be partaking in these transmutes. Okay, let's jump into the first one. And again, I can't stress this enough. These aren't worth anything. I'm going to show a value on the screen, but they're really not worth anything because they're not tradable. Okay. Spooky trade up number 1. We get Sniper Mask. Sniper Mask is worth 0.27 keys if it was tradable, but this one isn't, so it's worth nothing. Okay, transmute number 2. That is the Hand Hunter. Hand Hunter would be worth 3 keys if it was tradable, but because it's not, it's worth 0 keys. Okay, transmute number 3. That is Voodoo Cursed Soldier Soul. That one would be worth 1.33 keys if it was tradable. On to transmute number 4. That is Mr. Juice. Mr. Juice is worth 2.61 keys if it was tradable. Let's go to trade-in number 5. Or transmute number 5, I should say. That is the Wings of Purity. Wings of Purity would be worth 6.57 keys if it was tradable, which is a pretty nice pull. But this one's not tradable, so it's not worth anything. On to trade up number 6. Transmute number 6. There we go. That is Haunted Voodoo Juju. Slight return. Now, I don't have different prices for the haunted items, since, you know, they're both worth nothing, because these aren't tradable. But you do have a small chance to get haunted items when you do these transmutes. The haunted doesn't really do much of anything, it's just an extra quality on the item. Voodoo Juju is only worth 0.03 keys, because this is a hat you could get normally. So this is going to be our first, well, they're all losers, but this is our first real bad hit. Alright, transmute number 7. That is the Grand Duchess Fairy Wings. That one's worth 1 key, if it was tradable. On to number 8. That is the Grease Monkey. That one is worth 7.37 keys if it was tradable. That's one of our best hits we can get out of this. I think the animal heads for the Mercs do really well in here. Again, none of these are worth anything because this isn't tradable. But if I wanted the Grease Monkey, this just saved me 7 keys. Okay, transmute number 9. That is the one-way ticket. That one is worth 9.82 keys. If it was tradable. Okay, we're coming up on transmute number 10. Something special about doing transmutes is every 10 transmutes you get a random bonus item. And I believe it's always in haunted quality. We'll have to see. So we'll get 1 extra item here. Number 10. That is the Creature's Grin. Creature's Grin would be worth 3.65 keys if it was tradable. And our bonus item is Haunted Spooky Shoes. And Spooky Shoes is a craft hat that's worth 0.03 keys. Okay, let's do transmute number 11. That is Bank. Bank is worth 0.08 keys because, again, it's a craft hat you could get normally. Let's do transmute number 12. That one is the Idiot Box. That one's a classic. That one's only worth 1.23 keys. Again, 1.23 keys if it was tradable. Let's do number 13. That is Mastermind. Mastermind would be worth 0.71 keys if it was tradable. Number 14. That one is a spellbook page. I'm going to skip that. And a Voodoo Cursed Soldier Soul. Our first duplicate. That one's would be worth 1.33 keys, but to me it is already worth 0 keys because I already have one. So I'm going to mark that as 0. You know what? Why don't we trade up any duplicates we get? So we're going to throw the Voodoo Curse Soldier Soul back in here because we already got one this opening. So let's see what we get for number 15. We get Haunted Silver Bullets. Silver Bullets is a craft hat, worth 0.05 keys if it was tradable. Let's go to 16. That is Cranial Conspiracy. Cranial Conspiracy would be worth 4.5 keys if it was tradable. Let's go number 17. We start off with a spellbook page, and we get the External Organ. External Organ would be worth 3.5 keys if it was tradable. Number 18. We start off with a spellbook page, and we get Headtaker's Hood. Headtaker's Hood is one of the best ones. It would be worth 9.68 keys if it was tradable. On to number 19. That is a spellbook page. And Wraithwrap. Wraithwrap is a craft hat, would be worth 0.03 keys if it was tradable. On to number 20. We're going to get another bonus item on this one. We start off with Raven's Visage. Raven's Visage is one of the better ones. It would be worth almost 10 keys if it was tradable. Let's go see what the haunted item is. We get Haunted Hidden Dragon. Hidden Dragon would be worth 4.15 keys if it was tradable. On to number 21. That is Hair of the Dog. Hair of the Dog is a craft hat worth 0.15 keys if it was tradable. Number 22. That is Voodoo Cursed Medic Soul. We haven't got that one yet. That one would be worth half a key if it was tradable. Number 23. That is the Trepanobotomizer. Did I spell it right? No. There we go. This would be worth 2.67 keys if it was tradable. Number 24. That is Foul Cowl. That would be worth 3.26 keys if it was tradable. Let's go to number 25. That is Maniac's Manacles. Maniac's Manacles would be worth 5.16 keys if it was tradable. Going to 26. That is Soldier Mask. 27. We get Haunted Creature from the Heap. That is worth, I couldn't find a price on it, so it's worth nothing, we'll call it. Number 28. That is the Undercover. Undercover is not worth much, would be worth 0.35 if it was tradable. Going to number 29. That is Surgeon's Spacesuit. Surgeon's Spacesuit is one of the better ones. That would be worth 6.81 keys if it was tradable. Okay, on to number 30. This one will get another bonus item. We start off with Haunted Carius Chameleon. Carius Chameleon would be worth 0.6 keys if it was tradable. And our bonus item, Haunted Space Bracers. Space Bracers would be worth 2 keys if it was tradable. Number 31. That is the Grand Duchess Tutu. Grand Duchess Tutu would be worth 1.43 keys if it was tradable. Number 32. That is a Demo Man mask. Would be worth 0.71 keys if it was tradable. Number 33. That is the Rogue's Rabbit. That would be worth 3.18 keys if it was tradable. 34. That's Griffin's Gog. That is a craft hat, would be worth 0.03 keys if it was tradable. We're going over to number 35. We've got Carrion Companion. That would be worth 3.53 keys if it was tradable. On to number 36. That is Shadowman's Shade. That would be worth just under a key if it was tradable. On to number 37. We get Mr. Mundy's Wild Bride. Mr. Mundy's Wild Ride would be worth 5 keys if it was tradable. Number 38. That is Haunted Last Bite. Last Bite I do not have a price for, so we're going to call it 0 keys. On to number 39. We get the Space Bracers. That one's a repeat, so we're going to mark that one as being worth 0. Okay, going on to number 40. This one will have a bonus item. We start off with Haunted Voodoo Cursed Scout Soul. Would be worth 1 key if it was tradable. And our bonus item is a Medic Mask. Number 41. We get Bozo's Bouffant. I don't have a price for this one, so we're going to call it 0. Number 42. we get the Fujin Common. That one is a craft hat, and it would be worth 0.03 keys if it was tradable. Let's go to number 43. That is Bozo's Bouffant again. We're going to mark that one as 0 because we don't have a price for it and we already got it. We're going to trade up that duplicate one and we're going to go to number 44. That is the Crazy Legs. Crazy Legs would be worth 4.28 keys if it was tradable. Number 45. We get the Sprinting Cephalopod. That's one of the better ones. Would be worth 7.45 keys if it was tradable. Number 46. That is the Haunted Soldier's Mask. That one is a duplicate, so we're going to mark it as 0. We'll trade up our non-Haunted Soldier Mask. It's important to note that the Soldier's Mask, if you pair it up with every other class's mask in a crafting order, you're able to get a Saxton Hale mask. So you might not want to trade up your duplicate Soldier Mask if, or any other mask if you want to get that Saxton Hale mask, because that's the only way to get it. Okay, we're on number 47. That is Candyman's Cap. Candyman's Cap I don't have a price for, so we're going to mark it 0. On to number 48. These are Bozo's Rogues. These would be worth almost 6 keys if they were tradable. Over to number 49. That is the Spectronaut. That would be worth 4.43 keys if it was tradable. Okay, this one is number 50. We'll get a bonus item from this one. That is Haunted Sir Shoots-a-Lot. Sir Shoots-a-Lot is one of the best ones. It would be worth almost 11 keys if it was tradable. And our bonus item is the Headhunter. Headhunter is also a good one. Would be worth 9.32 keys if it was tradable. Number 51. That is the Scaly Scrapers. Scaly Scrapers is worth 2.7 keys if it's tradable. Number 52. Ooh, that's the Fallen Angel. That one would be worth 0.19 keys if it was tradable. I guess that one wasn't as cool as I thought. On to number 53. That is the Rue Rippers. Rue Rippers is one of the better ones. It would be worth a little over 7 keys if it was tradable. Number 54. We get Hard-Headed Hardware. Hard-Headed Hardware would be worth 3.59 keys if it was tradable. Number 55. That is Quoth. Quoth would be worth 4.23 keys if it had been tradable. Let's do number 56. That one is another soldier mask. So we're going to mark that one as 0 because we already have one. Over to number 57. That one is the Beatman. Beatman is the 4th best hit at 17.5 keys. So we just saved a whole bunch of money from having to buy this on the market at the full rate. But again, it's not worth anything because we got a non-tradable one from our transmute. But this one is super great to see. I'm glad we got it. Let's do number 58. That one is a haunted Sir Hoots-a-Lot. Sir Hoots-a-Lot is worth 0.03 keys because it's a craft hat. And it's not even worth that because it's not tradable. Number 59. That one is the Alternative Medicine Man. That one would be worth 5 keys if it was tradable. We're going to do number 60, and this one will have a bonus item with it. So we start off with a Terrifying Trove case. We get Haunted Glob. Glob would be worth 4.5 keys if it was tradable. And we also get a Haunted Last Bite. And we're going to mark Last Bite as 0 because we already have one. Okay, number 61. That is the Garden Bristles. Garden Bristles would be worth 4 keys if it was tradable. Number 62. That is the Intangible Ascot. That one is a craft hat, I think. It's only worth 0.02, sorry, it's only worth 0.12 keys if it was tradable. On to number 63. We get another Griffin's God, so we'll trade that one up. Over to number 64. We get a duplicate, Alternative Medicine Man. We're gonna mark that one as 0. Because we already got one. Over to number 65. That is Haunted Talon Trotters. Talon Trotters would be worth 3 keys if it was tradable. Over to number 66. That is the Can Opener. Can Opener would be worth 0.41 keys if it was tradable. Number 67. That is another Hard-Headed Hardware. We're going to mark that one as 0 because we already got one. Number 68. That is the Aberrant Appendages. That one is our second or third best hit. The price range is kind of wonky because my low end I have at 0.03 keys. That's not true. Let me fix that. There we go. So this one would be worth 21.39 keys if it was tradable, but these are all made up, so it's not. But still, that's a very nice hit to get. If you were someone looking for this and you just did transmutes, you just saved yourself 21 keys by doing these trade-ups. Again, we've only spent 9.27 keys so far, so to get something that's worth 21 keys if it was tradable is pretty good. Over to number 69. That one is Quoth. And we already got that one, so I'm going to mark it as 0. This one is number 70, so we're going to get a bonus item here. We start off with Haunted Cauterizer's Caudal Appendage. That one would be worth 6 keys if it was tradable. And our bonus item is Haunted Bernie's Bony Bonnet. That one would be worth 5 keys if it was tradable. Okay, number 71. That one is Haunted Nugget Noggin. That one's worth just under 3 keys if it was tradable. Okay, over to number 72. That one is Haunted Intangible Ascot. We already got one of those, so we're going to mark this one as 0. Okay, over to number 73. We start off with a spellbook page, and then we get unidentified following objects. That one would be worth 2.5 keys if it was tradable. On to number 74. That is the Cadaver's Capper. That one would be worth 3.5 keys if it was tradable. Number 75. That is the Crispy Golden Locks. That would be worth 5.3 keys if it was tradable. Over to number 76. That is the Idiot Box. We already got the Idiot Box, so we're going to mark this one as being worth 0, and we will trade it up. Going to lucky number 77. We get the Nugget Noggin. We already got that one, so that's worth nothing. And the bonus item is a spellbook page. Number 78. That is Tale from the Crypt. That one would be worth 0.17 keys if it was tradable. Number 79. That one is the Little Dutchman. That one would be worth 2 keys if it was tradable. We're going to number 80 now. This one will have a bonus item. We start off with the Marsupial Man. That one would be worth 3.2 keys if it was tradable. And our bonus item is a Haunted Hooded Haunter. Hooded Haunter would be worth 1.09 keys if it was tradable. Number 81. We start off with a spellbook page, and we get the Scarecrow. Scarecrow is a craft hat. It would be worth 0.03 keys if we had it in tradable. Number 82. That is the Fu Manchu. That would be worth 4.37 keys if it was tradable. On to number 83. That is Crispy Golden Locks. We already got that one, so we're going to mark it as 0. On to number 84. We start off with a spellbook page, and we get the Frontier Flyboy. That would be worth 0.42 keys if it was tradable. Over to number 85. That one is the Undercover. We already got that one, so we're going to mark it as 0. Number 86. That one is the Glob. And we've already got that one, so we're going to mark it as 0. Going to number 87. That one is the Chicken Kiev. That one is the second best hit. Very valuable. Would be worth 28.68 keys if it had been tradable, but it's not. But we just saved ourselves 28 keys from having to buy this on the market. Going to number 88. That is the Grub Grenades. That would be worth 5 keys if it was tradable. And we also get some spellbook pages. Going to number 89. That is the Candelier. That one would be worth 6.6 keys if it was tradable. Number 90. This one's going to have a bonus. We get Voodoo Cursed Sniper Soul. That one would be worth 0.35 keys if it was tradable. And our bonus item is Haunted Ooh, I can't say that. That is Haunted Vicious Visage. And that one would be worth just over 3 keys if it was tradable. Number 91. We get Haunted One-Way Ticket. We already got one of those, so we're going to mark this as 0. And our bonus item is some spellbook pages. Number 92. That one is the Wings of Purity. We already got that one, so we're going to mark it as 0. Number 93. That is the Soul of Spencer's Past. That one would be worth 1.57 keys if it was tradable. On to number 94. That is the Bullocks. Bullocks would be worth, I just got the pun, would be worth 2.5 keys if it was tradable. Number 95. We start off with Hair of the Dog. I think we already got that one, so it's going to be worth 0. And we get some Spellbook pages. Over to number 96. We get the Vicar's Vestments. That one would be worth almost 9 keys if it was tradable. Number 97. That is Beacon from Beyond. That would be worth 0.78 keys if it was tradable. Okay, on to number 98. That is the Hunt Comp. That one is the number 1 best hit. Everyone's trying to get these from the transmutes. That would be worth 48.73 keys if it was tradable, but this one is not, so we don't get to realize any of that profit. But we now have a Huntcoff, and we only spent 13.36 keys to get it. So I'm pretty proud of that. Over to number 99. That is Emerald Girardi. Emerald Girardi, I don't have a price for, so we're going to mark it as 0. And we're going to number 100. This one will have a bonus item. We've got Haunted Tutankhamun. We already got that one, so we're going to mark it as 0. And our bonus item is the Arsonist Apparatus. And the Arsonist is worth 5.77 keys if it was tradable. We have a few more to do because we have been trading up our duplicates as we go. So I started with 300 craft hats, but we've got some extras now. So let's go on to number 101. That is the Ethereal Hood. Ethereal Hood is worth 3.56 keys when it's tradable. Number 102. We get a Heavy Mask. That's worth half a key when it's tradable. Number 103. That is Voodoo Cursed Engineer Soul. That one is worth 0.33 keys when it's tradable. Okay, number 104. We get another Nugget Noggin. And this will be our last one, number 105. We get Emerald Girardi, which is a duplicate and is worth nothing. So, how did we do? Well, we're still going to live in our experiment where we pretended everything was worth something, because as we all know, these are not tradable, they're not marketable, so these are worth 0 keys. We did not make any money today. However, we did get to open up some pretty cool items, like we got the Huntkampf, which was worth something like 40-50 keys if it had been tradable, so that saves us some money from having to buy that. We got the Chicken Kiev, which saves us 20 something keys, 30 keys. We also got the Aberrant Appendages. Where are those? Yeah, the Aberrant Appendages, that's one of the third best hit, so that saves us another 20 keys. Anything else good? We got Beatman, which is worth 17.5 keys, had it been tradable. There's Sir Shoots a Lot when haunted, that's worth 10 keys. Anything else? One-way ticket, I don't know where that is. One-way ticket is apparently worth 10 keys, though I don't really understand why. Doesn't look that good. Maybe it's just a rare item. But we made off pretty well. Let me go back to reality now, and let's go set all the prices back to 0. So now that I set all the prices to their true value, we can see we did not make hundreds and hundreds of keys. We spent 14.32 keys and got back exactly 0 keys. So yeah, remember this when you do the Halloween transmutes. You're not making anything, you're not making any money. The only thing you're possibly doing is saving yourself from having to buy something like the Hunkoff or the Chicken Keeve at its full market value if you were just using it for yourself. As a reminder, Manco.store has random craft hats for 8 cents each right now if you'd like to try doing these for transmutes. They can be something you can pick up using the link in the description, and that would help support the channel. I've also got to give a shout out to all of my YouTube members. So thank you for video support from Ghost, Galaxy, Raccoon, Festive Morgan, 10 Sheep P, and newly Nintendo Ninja. Nintendo Ninja, thank you for funding this video. You're the reason why I get to do all these transmutes for free. So I really appreciate you. For Clan Pride supporters, we have NKS Gray, Liquid Filth, and Hex. For Key supporters, we have Crash P, Mchi. And for Refined supporters, we have Mintai, Joey Cheerio, and Hammock. Thank you everybody for supporting the channel. I really appreciate your membership, and I look forward to seeing more of y'all. Okay, that's it. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.